After a bunch of updates, the events are finally back. And honestly, this might be one of the best updates they dropped in a while. The events were already great before, and seeing them return is actually amazing. Some are better than before, while others... But now that they're all out, I wanted to go through each one and share what I think. Each mode has a normal and a nightmare version, but I'm not really here to talk about the difficulty. Probably. First one. Wait. While I was making this video, John announced that the events won't actually be pay to play anymore. And also that the forced loadouts, we got an explanation of them. I won't read it, but now they're not doing it anymore at the price of lowering gold. Which honestly, I'm not mad about that. I don't care. Thanks. And they also said who was the reason for the pay to play thing. Don't hate them. I know it's really bad. I know like maybe like if this did end up following through and John didn't make an announcement or like took a step, then it'll probably be her fault, but please don't. That is just dumb. We can all make mistakes. We'll just see how. The Tower Battles event is really fun if you know what you're doing. The throwback on these enemies are pretty cool, but that's really just the basic stuff. It's your own opinion on whether you like the first waves of the game. But what is the best for me is how they depicted Void. Void in Tower Battles was shown in a weirdly calmly way. He was powerful, yes, but his abilities don't really give him depth or character. It was 3 abilities: Stomp, Spawn, and Shockwave. And one of them only happens once. However, in this game, he has received new and better ways to show off his power. And instead of giving Void like a bunch of different abilities to damage your towers, like punch or stomp, all of that basic stuff, he instead throws meteors down, flies in the air, killing your warships, and turns the towers against you with a lift of his arms. He corrupts towers to kill each other. I'm not saying that these are like the most groundbreaking abilities we have ever seen, but this is honestly the best way to show how strong a boss truly is. Imagine if they just gave Void a bunch of abilities that just do ridiculous damage, but the attacks are stomp, stomp, punch, stomp, spawn enemies, stomp. No, to perfectly depict someone of being powerful is not by how much damage an attack does. It's by his own behavior, the power behind his attack. This is what makes Void so far more unique than the other bosses, and the music is just splendid. You will forever be in my memory. I will go over each separate chapter because each chapter gives very different experiences. So... Chapter 1 is mostly an introduction to the entire event. It's not supposed to be insane. This mode gives some context on what's going on in the world, which is why I don't hate it. A nice detail they did was to give dialogue of the GDA in normal modes, but give separate dialogues of the bosses in Nightmare. Chapter 1 isn't a bad chapter, it's just that compared to the other chapters, it isn't as big. And it's fine. I don't expect the introduction to be absolutely unique. The chapter does its job right and really gives the invasion more context. Surprisingly, nobody talks about this chapter, but the amount of uniqueness it has is just insane. Not only does it introduce dual lanes for the very first time, it also introduces the nail golem mechanic, where the engineer can drop the hung nail golems into the battlefield. Not only that, Violent Engineer and Heretic in Nightmare actually work together to keep each other alive. This is amazing dynamic and also adds even more character to them. These guys aren't just walking stones, these guys know what is going on and constantly try to keep each other alive. You can't forget the music either. The GJ is something else. This chapter puts together a lot of new and different mechanics, and it's not like it's a clutter. It shows them perfectly without overwhelming you. At least in normal. Nightmare takes a bit to fully understand. honestly going to say this, although I did love the other events, this chapter is the best chapter / event I have ever played and talked about so far. I know some may not agree, but I don't care. This is not your video, this is my video. Waves 1 through 5 haven't changed much before and now, but chapter 3 does its job by introducing you to node paths, and it did a good job doing so when it first came out, and it still is today. In this one, you are firing at the citadel with an artillery. While that's happening, you must defend the artillery from the enemies, hence the name Defend the Artillery. And you have the ability to heal it too. It does its job by teaching you what towers will work and what will not. Although Corrupted Mark II didn't do anything unique in the past, his rework did make him way more different than before. When you get Mark II low in this phase of the song, he will jump scare you, and upon that jump scare, he spawns 3 Mark II clones, 5 if you're a nightmare. This is a really unique spin on Corrupted Mark II, and there's no doubt about it. Now, after a few moments, he will come out of the ground and return to just be killed, which is a little funny. Also, you can surprisingly kill him before his little jump scare phase. I will be truthfully honest. It's not that bad. It just feels painful. I'll get to the wretched in a moment, but the early waves don't feel right. This chapter shows that you must defend the final GDA base, or somewhat final. Although there are some interesting enemies, it feels like a slob, especially with the fact that waves take forever. It's not just chapter 4. Chapter 3 does have a little bit of an issue with how long each wave is, but chapter 4 feels a little unnecessarily long. Personally me, but it's also the fact that Wretched, I think Corrupted Apex Predator is just a much better boss, or a much more fulfilling boss. Corrupted Apex is somewhat boss because he can also corrupt towers and has a few minor abilities. But comparing him to Wretched, it just seems like Wretched is the worst version of Corrupted Apex Predator. He does nothing new. At least with Void or Mark II, they do extraordinary abilities. Wretched, they literally only use the abilities that's on his body. You're the leader of a very powerful army, leader of the same robot that could corrupt towers and completely break down the GDA worldwide. But your best abilities is using bullets and firing rockets the size of one golden juggernaut. Wretched has no aggression whatsoever, aside from his jump, but considering how much force he has to jump that high and quickly, he's not enraged. He's just Wretched. The thing is that they put a lot of time into the concept of Corrupted Mark II, but they only put 2 abilities for Wretched in the game, and one of them shoots at the base. The other one is a rare ability where there's a web on the base and comes out spiders, or so I was told, because in my time of playing, that never happened. Alright, I'm done talking about this chapter and event. X-Smith's chapter 1 was decent. There wasn't anything unique per se. I did like the song a lot. I don't have much to say about it. It was like Halloween chapter 1. Next one. This chapter wasn't too big, aside from Selgar. He's still cool. It was still pretty good, and I do like the fact that in the mode, there is a moment where you lose a ton in one wave, and the visor helps you with the Soma Cache, which gives the story of this event more interesting, where it's not just progressive. Snow Apex Predator is probably one of the laziest Apex Predator variants. Never mind, it's Void Apex. The thing is that Snow Apex does not really do anything, but the thing that actually saves it from being bad, the fact that it helps the lore. I'm not talking about it. Watch my video. But General Selgar is really cool. For me, it's the aggression he has. Okay, I really have to sleep. Chapter 3 is the best. Please only like the Battle Pass. Good night.